Hey guys, welcome back to the Interceptor, and we're here with the next class of the top 10 champions in each class for September 2023. Now, I know there's been a 2-week, the last video was out 2 weeks ago, because I made all 6, but I wasn't able to upload all 6 before I moved, and it took a while for me to settle and get some videos made. And of the 6 that I made, 3 of them failed to render, which were the last 3. So I have to record the mutant video, which is today, skill video, which will be out the day after, and then science the day after. So I plan to put these videos out on the 27th, 28th, and 29th of the month. So I did not make any change to the list, and I will attempt to recreate the same kind of video that I made before. It's really annoying that I have to do these twice, but you know, that just happens sometimes. So with mutants, we are going to start off with 3 honorable mentions. Someone that really impressed me this Alliance War season that I didn't think, that I generally don't think is very good, but was very good for the specific meta, and that's Colossus. Colossus was, of course, able to do the power drain with all his armor ups. He did pretty good damage, and I did see, I think it was Suida and a couple other people using him for bosses, so that was really good. So yeah, Colossus, not that bad. In the past, I've clowned on him a little bit. I don't think he's a good champion by any means. I don't think he's worth R4. I think he stays at R3 for most people, but you know, he's not bad. I think he deserves a mention. And the next one is going to be a champ that I also don't think is very good, but I recognize is insanely good for one piece of content in the game, and that's Battlegrounds. Sunspot has the burst damage and nothing else. He will get you those 35-40 second fights in Battlegrounds, and he does nothing else in the whole game. He is not useful anywhere else. But, you know, I gotta give him some credit. I will never rank him, and I hope I don't get a 7-star. Although, if I got a 7-star duped, I might consider taking him to R2, but I don't know. I probably wouldn't still, because there's multiple mutants I want to do in the meantime. But yeah, Sunspot thought I'd mention, and the last spot before we get into the top 10 is a champion that is mostly a support champion, but he's not bad on its own, and that is White Magneto. His pre-fight giving all metal champions and heroes passive stuns, giving all champions increased attack rating. It's just incredible support, and if you're bringing him along for pre-fights in a war and you got to take a metal defender on your path, it's not the worst thing in the world to have to use him. He can take a metal defender down, and it's not even that bad of a fight. But yeah, we're going to get into the top 10, and something I also want to mention is I've been saying in these videos that I haven't made one of these top 10 videos for 20 months. Like, I think it was January 2022 that I last made these. And the top 10 champions have not changed. I'm not saying that the order hasn't changed, but the actual champions that make up the top 10 are the same 10 champions, because since I made those lists, I made that list, there has not been a mutant introduced into the game or buffed that would pass the champ I have in 10th. And the champ in 10th, I think, is the only champion that doesn't change, which is Omega Red. Omega Red was at 10 in our last list, and to me, he still does the same thing. He is very good if you're willing to invest a lot of time and resources into him. Otherwise, he's not. For me, if I was gifted a rank 5 Sig 200 Ascended Omega Red, I'd probably sit on the bench a lot. A very, very lot. Like, a very large amount of time, although I acknowledge that if you are good with him, like someone like Lizer is, he is a monster, and he is incredible. So yeah, Omega Red is going to be in the 10 spot for me. Just not the way I like to play. I don't like playing Omega Red. so I didn't rank up the 6-star. Next, we go into a champ I absolutely love, and a champ that, while thought of mostly as a defender, really does not get the respect he deserves as an attacker, and that is Havoc. Now, if you use Havoc in Battlegrounds, which is the place I use him the most, I do use him for attack a fair bit. He can take down most defenders in 50 seconds. I've taken R5 Korgs with my R5 Havoc, and all you have to do is throw one special 1, because by the time you get to special 3, if you go straight there, you won't have enough charges to kill yet. So you want to throw one special 1 and then go straight to special 3 and throw it, and that kills everything pretty much. When I've actually used him for a matchup he's decent in, I don't think that's ever not killed. So yeah, Havoc, also a good Atuma counter with those non-contact medium attacks. He's a very solid champion, and yeah, like I've said previously, I don't take how good a champion is on defense into, like, I don't factor that in whatsoever. I do not take it into consideration. So this is purely an offensive tier list and nothing else. So in the number 8 spot, a champion that I have recently come to really love, because I didn't like this champion for the longest time, and I kind of was really down on this champion, although there was a place where I was forced to use him and he did really well there. That's Professor X. Where's mine? He's rank 3. Here he is. Professor X has been for a while one of the best Alliance War attackers. When you find a fight that he works for, he is amazing for it, because if you pair his mind control and the fact that he doesn't lose as much power when he uses specials while he's in mind control, with mutant power back boosts, you can infinitely cycle special 3s, and you don't even give the other champion power because of mind control. I saw him take I saw a rank 4 Professor X take a rank 2 awakened 6-star Sasquatch on the boss node this season, and all you have to do is get to SP3 once, and it killed. Like, you just have to get your charges up by landing heavy attacks, or I guess you could get it by SP1 if you don't have a consistent way to get heavy attacks. You get to your SP3, put mind control on, and the SP3 would just kill. Like, you keep cycling SP3s, getting an additional prowess each time. He does some serious, crazy damage. So yeah, Professor X, also amazing in Abyss. He can solo a lot of fights. I almost got a solo on Luke Cage on my mutant path. I think I got Luke Cage on my best attempt down to like 4%. But because I was running a rank 3 low SIG at the time, I think he was SIG 20. And I have not ranked him up. He was always rank 3. I don't think he had enough damage, because I didn't get hit in that fight. I just ran out of charges, and I was at almost full health. So yeah, Professor X, very solid champion. And we'll get into number 7. He was number 8 on the list. We'll get into number 7, a champ I think personally is criminally underrated in the game. And even for people who like him, they don't play him correctly, and they don't get the full damage potential out of him that they could get. And that's going to be Neyar. Neyar, yes, he does have that very unique ability where when he's attacking or dashing forward, he reduces 100% damage and inflicts it back on the enemy and sends it back. But his SP3 gives him a 20-second Fury that is worth triple his attack rating. And if you use his Imperious Rex correctly, the right way, you can very consistently get 3, sometimes even 4 of these. And that is 13 times or 17 times his normal damage. And then you throw off an SP2, each hit can do 100,000 damage or more. And I haven't even ranked him up all the way. He is incredible, and if if in Battlegrounds there was a skip SP3 button, he would be used in Battlegrounds a lot for attack. He would already be R4 or R5 for me, and he would be ranked up. But to me, that's the one thing holding him back. But yeah, he is just absurd. And when you actually use him correctly in content where you can skip the special 3, he just nukes things down so fast. I killed Gauntlet Terex in like 48 seconds or something like that, because I just got to SP. Wait, no, not 48 seconds. It's probably like a minute and a half. I don't remember now. It was like when Gauntlet first came out. It was a long time ago that I did this. But yeah, he takes that fight super, super fast. So at number 6, this is a champion I had much higher on the list. I believe I had this champion at 4 last time. I recently realized like I kind of was giving this guy too much credit, because the next champion on our list is Cable. And while he is very good with the APOC synergy that allows him to stack the degens on his heavy attack, he's kind of limited to where you can use him. I haven't personally really been able to use him anywhere, and if I ever bring him in a quest, it's to give APOC full charges on the first fight, and that's the only reason I have him. But yeah, Cable's not bad. He's the second best DOT mutant, but yeah, unfortunately, and he can solo some Abyss fights, which is pretty cool. But I think that if Cable's base abilities weren't so absolute garbage, or so absolutely garbage, then that buff via the synergy would have made him a genuinely very good champion. But I think he only really has potential to move down in this list, and I don't think he will ever jump back into the top 5 unless something changes via new synergy or he is a champion that could really benefit from just an overall stat increase. Just upgrade the potency of his regens, power gains, and degens like 15% maybe, and he could be good again. But yeah, there was a time so many people were running Cable, and he was just so good. But that time has long passed. So we'll get into the top 5. And at number 5, a champion that you probably think would be higher based on my YouTube profile picture. This is Gambit. So Gambit is at rank 5 for me. I absolutely love Gambit. He is one of my very favorite champions in the entire game. He is awesome in Battlegrounds for a bunch of metas. He just nukes very, very well. Also, I recently, since I recorded this video the first time, so something's actually changed, I used him as my main champion in a Zone 25 incursions push, and I only had Hercules as a backup. My team was Gambit, Apocalypse, and Hercules, and I probably used Hercules for less than 20 fights the entire run, and even as late as room 25, there had yet to be a single defender that survived an SP3 from Gambit. So not only am I A, healing from suicides, and B, completely immune to block damage via the synergy, and him being a horseman, also all I had to do was get to an SP3 and every defender was dead. Always. It was really nice. I had admittedly pretty convenient hacks that worked for Gambit very well, such as Perpetual Offense. I had Keep It Going, which is the armor break node. I had buff attack rating, so you get a attack rating for each buff. I had buff cornucopia. I had prowess increase. There was a bunch of stuff, but oh, and I also had the degen hack. But yeah, Gambit can do a lot of things if you give him the chance to. And I also use him quite a bit in event quests whenever there's one of the bleed nodes, like the purifying thing where you get bleeds and then you do something to purify them and then you get furies. He's like pretty much my go-to champion for those mutant nodes. But yeah, Gambit, amazing champion, deserving of that number 5 spot in the mutant class. And at number 4, A champion that I have not ranked up, but only because I don't have an awakened and I don't feel like using a gem on him. A champ that is amazing, Magneto. Magneto is just a fantastic champion. He is probably the best metal champion and robot killer in the game, although Nebula probably does a couple robots better than he does, and Medusa as well. But yeah, Magneto is a fantastic champion. Great in Alliance War, great in questing. He's awesome in Battlegrounds if you rank him up, because all you have to do is get to an SP3 with heavies, and the defender is dead. So yeah, Magneto, and he also works in Abyss. He can solo a bunch of Abyss fights, and when you get him awakened, you deal extra burst damage on your heavy attacks. That actually scales pretty high, and you can get upwards of, like here, as a rank 3, it's 2,800, so as a rank 5, that's probably about 4,500, roughly, extra damage per heavy. So yeah, Red Magneto, amazing champion, and at the number 4 spot. So going into number 3, a champion I used to absolutely despise using, and I refused to rank him up until Battlegrounds came around, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of have to. It's Archangel. Archangel is fantastic. He is one of my most used Battlegrounds champions, and last season I did use him quite a bit in War. I probably used him for about 8 to 10 fights throughout the season, and considering I only brought him 2 or 3 times, that's a lot of fights. But yeah, he really benefits from some SIG levels. Now, he does not need max SIG. If you get him to SIG 100, that's more than enough. But if you are willing to push him to SIG 200, as I had extra SIGs at the time that I did that, he is worth it. Basically, if you find any champion that is immune that isn't immune to bleed, and they're also not immune to poison, he kills them fast. He does most Battlegrounds fights in 35 to 40 seconds, and even some of the tankiest champions in the game like Doom and Rintra, he can do them in about 50 seconds. So yeah, Archangel's just a fantastic champion, deserving of the number 3 spot. And as we go into the top 2 here, if you asked me this a year ago, I would have given you a different answer. Because although I didn't make videos, I actually did update this list about 8-10 months ago, and I actually had a different order for these top 2. Because if you had asked me a year ago, I would have said that Kitty Pryde is the best mutant in the game. But I don't think that anymore. I think that when you're actually using the champion in a fight, Kitty Pryde is better. I guess I can say who the other champion is now because it's pretty obvious. The other champion's Apocalypse. I think when you're actually using Kitty Pryde in a fight, she is better in a fight, generally speaking, than Apocalypse is. But the problem is that Apocalypse brings so much more to the table via Horseman. He's the only champ that can make Horseman. That for me, that gives him the edge over Kitty Pryde, because this is an offense only tier list, but that does not mean that support does not affect it, because support is an offensive thing. So at number 2, we are going to have Kitty Pryde. She doesn't even need high SIG. You'll notice mine's SIG 1. I gave her a Mutant Awakening gem, and whenever I need her, she is great, and I might R4 her eventually. Not anytime soon, because I have a plan for my next 3 or 4 rank 4s. But yeah, she is absolutely fantastic, and she is one of the best champs in the game. And we're going to get into number 1, a champion that I adore. Apocalypse. Not only is he a fantastic support champion through Horseman, but he also is an amazing champion on his own. If you're familiar with the player in GT40 named Vern, who is a former member of both ISO 8A and original D69, I was alliance mates with him for a long time. He has a rank 5 Apocalypse that he uses in War, and he tears up fights. He uses an SP1 boost, gets to that SP2, and just cycles SP2 until everything is dead. And it's kind of crazy what you can do, because an SP2 can do like 50% of the health pools of decently tanky champions. He's just fantastic. Also, he develops immunity to bleed, incinerate, and disorient just for having them on him for 10 seconds in a fight. He gains it for the rest of the quest. So if you turn on suicides in the first fight, he's going to get an immunity to bleed for the rest of the quest. So he can take, like, let's say you join war and in section 1 you have some random path, and you get bleed immunity because you went in with the suicide masteries, and you have an Odin on you. Then you're now, or an Odin pre-fight on you, you're now immune to bleed and a 90% resistance to shock, which means you can take Path 9 Section 2 and you can actually heal. So it's kind of crazy what Apocalypse can do. He can also use that in Section 1 to develop his immunity to incinerate on the hazard shifts path. And then he can take, I've seen him take champs on node 49, on the old node 49. I guess this season is a new map. But yeah, Apocalypse is a monster. He's also one of the best Abyss champions, and he can solo a ton of fights. In my mutant path, I used him for most fights, and he just destroyed. He was fantastic for that. Mine's only R4. I don't know if I'll R5. If I were to R5 a mutant right now, it would probably be Archangel, because both Domino and Bishop are available as 7 stars. So it would probably be Archangel right now, but I don't know, maybe I'll eventually R5 him. And he's also one of the champions I think is least likely to come to the 7-star pool, even less likely than Kitty Pryde, because he just is a complete game changer. On my alt account, which is pretty weak, he is my #1 most wanted champion, and I didn't even have Herc for a long time, and he was higher on my list than Hercules. So there's another thing I should mention before I end this video, and that's how close Kitty Pryde and Apocalypse are in the whole game to me. Because when I make these videos, generally speaking, I make a top 10 for each class, and then I make a top 30 in the game to see, so you guys can see how the champions compare to each other. And when I made the list last time, Kitty Pryde was 3rd in the game, and Apocalypse was 4th. Now, Ghost is #1, Quake is #2, Apocalypse is #3, and Kitty Pryde is #4. So not only do I think they're insanely close in the class, they're also 3 and 4 in the whole game to me. So when I say it was a tough choice to choose between these two for #1 and 2, I mean it. I'm not exaggerating. It was incredibly tough for me to pick between these two, but I do think Apocalypse is a little bit better, so I'm going to stick with that. So just to sum up the video, the 3 honorable mentions were Colossus, Sunspot, and White Magneto. And then the top 10 from 10 to 1 was Omega Red, Havoc, Professor X, Namor, Cable, Gambit, Red Magneto, Archangel, Kitty Pryde, and Apocalypse. So yeah, that's all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and when you guys are seeing this, there should be the next class posted tomorrow, which should be Skill, I believe. Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you all later. Bye.